Every night I stood on my balcony with a cup of coffee. Then one night I saw her and everything changed. My name is Patrick. I'm 46 years old, unmarried, and used to living quietly. When my lease expired, I didn't fight it or negotiate. I packed what I owned and moved into a modest apartment on the other side of the city. Clean walls, decent rent, nothing remarkable. I wanted a place that didn't ask questions. The first thing I noticed was the closeness. The building across from mine wasn't just nearby, it was facing me. The balconies lined up almost perfectly, separated by a narrow stretch of air. Close enough to catch silhouettes through curtains. Close enough to recognize a face if someone lingered long enough. I have a habit. Late nights, a cup of coffee, sometimes a cigarette if my thoughts are loud, and I stand on the balcony for an hour or so, just letting the day drain out of me. That first night, I stepped outside, leaned on the railing, and looked across. The opposite balcony was empty. No light, no movement, just concrete and darkness. I took a sip, stared down at the street, and let my mind wander. Lease papers, moving boxes, the quiet weight of starting over again. When I turned back, she was standing there. I didn't hear a door. I didn't see her step out. One moment the balcony was empty, and the next she was simply there. A young woman, mid-20s maybe, standing upright like she'd been placed there. She wore a long white gown, loose, almost like a nightdress, hanging straight down without a crease. Her hair was open and dark, spilling over her shoulders. In the dim balcony light, her skin looked pale, almost washed out, and her face was hard to read from the distance, except for the eyes. They caught me immediately, not wandering, not curious, locked directly onto me. My chest tightened. I raised my hand slightly and said, "Hi." She didn't respond. No nod, no blink that I could register, no shift of weight, no fidgeting, just stood there, staring as if she wasn't looking at me, but through me. I stood another few seconds, awkwardness turning into discomfort, then told myself she probably hadn't heard me. I went back inside and locked the balcony door without even thinking about it. The next day was normal in the dullest way. Groceries, a hardware store for small things I'd forgotten, hooks, a bulb, a cheap doormat. I carried bags up the stairs, unpacked, ate something simple, and by evening my body felt heavy and tired. The memory of the night before felt unreal, like something my mind had stitched together to make the new place feel stranger than it was. Still, habit pulled me back outside. When I stepped onto the balcony, the opposite balcony was empty again. I leaned against the railing, coffee in hand, and listened to the city. A dog barked somewhere below. A distant motorbike whined past. I took a long sip, stared down, let my thoughts drift. When I turned back, she was there. Same position, same white gown, same stillness, like the balcony had generated her the moment I wasn't watching. This time my heart jumped hard enough that I felt it in my throat. "Okay, hi," I said, forcing calm. "Do you live alone?" "Nothing." "Are you okay?" I asked, a little firmer. "Do you need help or something?" No response, no movement. The timing was what sickened me. She never appeared while I was looking, only when I looked away, as if my attention was the switch that turned her on. I went inside early that night, coffee unfinished. The third day passed heavier. I tried to keep busy, ran errands, cleaned the kitchen, arranged a few things so the apartment felt less temporary. By night, curiosity returned, mixed with a dread I didn't want to admit. I told myself I'd step out for 5 minutes, just to prove to my own brain that I was overreacting. I stepped outside. Empty balcony, coffee, quiet, a few steady breaths. When I turned, she was there. This time, I could make out a little more. Her hair framed her face in uneven strands, like she hadn't brushed it. Her eyes seemed too open, too unblinking, dark pits under the balcony light. The gown made her look like she belonged in a hospital or a place where people were kept instead of cared for. And her mouth had changed. The faintest curve at the edges, not friendly, not warm, more like the idea of a smile, as if she'd learned it from watching others do it. "Why don't you talk?" I asked, my voice tighter now. "What do you want?" She didn't answer. She just stood there, staring, the little half-smile fixed in place. A thought hit me, sharp and physical, not of her attacking me, but of her stepping forward, crossing the gap, appearing suddenly on my side. The image made my stomach drop. I backed away and went inside, locking the door again, and this time checking it twice. On the 4th day, I finally decided to meet the neighbors properly. I needed something solid, something normal to hold on to. That afternoon I walked to their door and knocked under the excuse of introducing myself. The father answered, polite, reserved. A boy, 9 or 10, peeked from behind him. A moment later, a young girl, maybe 12 or 13, appeared beside the mother. They introduced them one by one, the son first, then the daughter. Normal voices, normal faces, normal family. My mouth was dry when I finally said it. "I've been seeing someone on your balcony at night." Their expressions changed, not dramatically, but instantly. The father's eyes narrowed. The mother looked away for half a second too long. "A young woman," I added. I watched their faces carefully now. "Do you have another daughter?" The mother nodded. "Yes, our elder daughter." Relief flickered in me for a moment, then vanished. "That must be her," I said. The father shook his head. "No," the mother spoke quietly. "She's unwell. She stays inside." I asked where she was. "Sleeping," the mother said. "She sleeps most of the time." The sentence hit me like cold water, because I'd seen her every time, standing there like a statue, watching me, waiting for me to turn around. I didn't argue. I didn't tell them how she appeared. I just nodded, murmured something polite, and left with a weight in my chest that didn't feel like fear yet, more like the beginning of it. That night, I went to the balcony despite myself. It felt like I was testing a wound. Empty balcony, coffee, one slow breath. When I turned, she was there. Same gown, same pale face, same eyes. But now that I knew what the mother had said, she's sleeping, the sight of her didn't just creep me out. It made my skin crawl with a deeper kind of dread, the kind that twists logic until nothing feels safe. "She says you're sleeping," I whispered before I could stop myself. Her mouth didn't move. Her eyes didn't blink. But the curve at the edges of her lips seemed closer to something like satisfaction, as if she'd heard me perfectly. I didn't go out the next night. The day after that, I ran into the son outside, alone for the first time. He was in the corridor area near the stairs, fiddling with something in his hands, some toy or keychain. I kept my voice casual, as if I were asking about school. "How's your sister?" I asked. He looked up quickly, then looked away, like even saying it out loud could get him in trouble. "She's sick," he said. I waited, and then asked, "Sick how?" He hesitated, then leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. She acts weird. Weird, I repeated. She doesn't talk, he said. She just stays still, sometimes for a long time. His eyes flicked toward his apartment door. My mom says she's sleeping, but she's not always sleeping. A cold feeling spread through my stomach. Does she ever go outside? I asked. His face tightened. No. Then, quieter, as if the word itself scared him. They lock her. He swallowed. Sometimes she looks at people like she's waiting, like she wants to say something, but she can't. That sentence stuck to me like a thorn. That night, I didn't go to the balcony, but I didn't sleep either. Around late evening, I heard movement across the way, voices in the corridor, footsteps, a door opening. I peered through my window and saw a man dressed like a priest entering their apartment, collar visible even at a distance. He stayed inside for a long time, 1 hour, maybe 2. And during that time, the building changed. At first, it was just muffled talking, several voices overlapping. Then a sharp sound like something heavy being moved. Then a sudden cry, high, strained, and cut off too quickly, like a hand had been clamped over a mouth. Then another sound, half sob, half laughter, the kind that doesn't belong to a sane throat. I stood frozen in my living room, listening. More voices, a firm male tone, commanding. Then silence. Then a whispering murmur that sounded like praying, fast and urgent. I didn't move until the priest left. After that night, the balcony stayed empty. Days passed, no white gown, no still figure, no eyes pinned to mine the moment I turned around. And instead of relief, something else grew in me, restlessness. Because the absence didn't feel like, it's over. It felt like when a room goes quiet after someone storms out, like the quiet is just the space where something is being planned. Then I noticed boxes. At first it was small, cardboard stacked near their door, a piece of furniture moved out, then another. It didn't happen all at once. It stretched over 2 or 3 days, like a slow decision becoming real. On the second day of it, I saw the father outside, carrying something bulky, and I asked casually, "Moving?" He exhaled like he'd been waiting for someone to ask. "Yes," he said. "This place, it's not suiting us." I asked what he meant. "The atmosphere," he said. "The environment. The society." He rubbed his forehead, tired. "Our elder daughter. She hasn't been well here. Elders suggested we change the neighborhood." He didn't say priest directly, but the pause between his words said enough. The next day, a car arrived. Not early morning. Later, when the day was already warm and bright, like they'd timed it so nothing looked suspicious. I went downstairs and stood at a distance, trying to act normal, like any neighbor would. When they noticed me, I raised a hand. The father waved back. The mother did too. The boy waved quickly, then looked away. The younger daughter waved with a polite, practiced smile. One by one, they came out with luggage. Then they brought her. She was completely covered, head to toe, draped so carefully that it looked deliberate, as if even a glimpse of her face was dangerous. The parents held her arms firmly, guiding her toward the car, not supporting her so much as restraining her. She moved stiffly, like someone walking in a dream. As they reached the car, the cloth shifted slightly, just enough for me to see part of her face. Pale skin, dark eyes, and the same stillness. But this time, something in her expression changed. It wasn't the faint smile. It wasn't the smirk. It looked like she was trying to speak, like her mouth wanted to form a word and couldn't, like there was something trapped behind her teeth, something urgent, something meant only for me. Her eyes found mine from across that distance, and for a single moment I felt it. Not just that she was looking at me, but that she was asking me. And then the cloth fell back into place, covering her completely, and the parents pushed her into the car like they couldn't risk another second. They waved again, quick, awkward waves, the kind people do when they want a conversation to end. Then the doors shut, the engine started, and they drove away. It's been months since then. New neighbors live there now, normal people, quiet people. Their balcony fills and empties like any other. Laundry appears, lights turn off. Life continues, indifferent to what once stood there. But something unexpected happened after she was gone. At first, it was relief. The absence of that white figure, the absence of those eyes. The nights felt quieter, safer. Then, slowly, something else crept in. I found myself standing on the balcony longer than usual, waiting. Not because I expected to see her, but because a part of me felt like I should. And when she didn't appear, there was a strange, hollow feeling in my chest that I couldn't explain. For reasons I still don't understand, I began to miss her. The thought disturbed me more than her presence ever had. I would stand there with my coffee, staring at the empty balcony across from mine, replaying her face in my mind. The stillness, the white gown, the way her eyes locked onto mine as if I was the only thing anchoring her to that place. And I'd wonder, why me? Some nights, the question keeps me awake. What was it she wanted to say? Was she trying to warn me or ask for help? The idea that she might have needed me, that she might have been reaching out in the only way she could, settles into my thoughts like a weight. And the worst part is knowing that if that's true, I never understood it in time. There was a connection there. I can't describe it properly. It wasn't affection. It wasn't attraction. It was something quieter, something heavier, like two people briefly recognizing each other in a moment they weren't meant to share. Sometimes, when I turn away from the railing and feel that familiar pause before I look back, a part of me still expects her to be there, not smiling, not watching, just standing, waiting for me to finally understand. And that's the thought that stays with me, sharper than fear, heavier than logic, that whatever she wanted to tell me, I was the only one who saw her, and I may have been the only one who could have listened.